The RotoWire Dynasty podcast is back. As always, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, the best place to play Bestball. I'm Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com. And joining me is the Geek from the Sharp app at F Football Geek. You know him from DFSARMY. And today, Geek, we are going to do a 12-team SuperFlex Dynasty startup. One of the most common questions that we get over on the RotoWire YouTube page, over on RotoWire.com, is, what's draft structure? What should we take running backs? And I guess the best way to demonstrate all this, Geek, is to put what we've been doing for the last, decade into practice for the people.
You gotta, the whole thing with drafting dynasty teams, regular team, anything else, is you got to do it a few times to get a sense of, where players are going to be, where they're going to fall. When do the elite wide receivers go? How does my team look if I target running backs early, or if I avoid quarterback, can I still have a super flex? That is the key. I especially think the thing that gets people is the quarterback position in super flex. It really does.
Yeah,
because,
and this year more than any, that there's like an elite 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 or 6, and then it's just like you're in no man's land that much quicker.
The drop off at quarterback is insane. And as a matter of fact, if you're in a dynasty super flex league and you have like 3 quarterbacks, you're getting offers right now like crazy for your third guy, because there are only 15 viable quarterbacks, says. And when you have a 12-team league, there has to be at least 24 that are starting, and then you want to back up. There's just not enough of them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to have Andy Dalton still on my rosters. I'm happy to have, Kenny Pickett. Like, I know he's starting this year, right? Like, these are guys that are probably QB 18, QB 22 in redraft ranks that you are ecstatic, because you just want a floor at that QB 2 spot. So with that said, you're going to pick 4th. I'm going to pick 9th. This is going to be a super flex league. We're 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, no premium on the tight end. And we're going to see where this goes. We're going to, we might draft 10 rounds. We might draft 16 rounds. We're going to draft on against AI for the other spots, meaning that the software for the website should draft according to ADP, which is good. So here, I'm just going to put us down here. I'm going to start this draft, Geek.
Let's see if this AI is any good.
Okay.
ChatGPT running this thing.
There we go. Wait, hold on one second. Let me just make sure I get. No, see, okay, that doesn't work here. I just want to make sure that people can see it. So first 3 picks off the board, Geek, were Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow. I think in most drafts, those are definitely going to be 3 of the top 5 picks. So far, so good. Win for bots.
Yeah, I want to disagree with pick 3.
Come on.
Burrow.
You're not going to.
Only because
someone will do that
here. But like, this is Jalen Hurts territory, and so the first 3 picks, 3 quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts still on the board.
Well, here's the case for Joe Burrow. He's got the Jamar Chase, who's arguably the best receiver in fantasy football, or going to be for the next decade. Joe Burrow is, he's getting the long-term contract. Jalen Hurts still hasn't gotten it yet, which he's going to. But yeah, and also that the Burrow style quarterback seems to have a little bit more durability.
Probably will last longer than Hurts, but Hurts delivers higher
upside.
Average production. He's more elite of a player. And of course, I'm taking Jalen Hurts here. Very, very easy pick. Again, we just discussed the lack of elite options at quarterback.
Right, so whack it.
Round 2, they're dead. They're gone. So,
and by the way, that just hit it, because we have a long way to go. Yeah, you actually got to make the pick.
Actually, I have to hit the button.
Okay. So then after that, the Justin Herbert goes, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson and Trevor Lawrence. I expect that to be the top 8 in every single draft. This year more than ever, the running backs are, you could have your running back 1, I could have my running back 1, but it's going to be different, right? Yeah, I can't tell. And there's like a tier of top running backs, but you're not like overly excited to take those guys. In Superflex, I do not want to be left out in the cold here. I still see Lamar Jackson as a top elite running back for fantasy football. I know you don't love him as much. I don't love him as much, but he's going to get the big contract, so I'm going to take him.
Let's jump into that for a second. Where's the teardrop? I think I would have taken Fields there, by the way. But where's the teardrop for you? Like, it's Herbert and then Is Lawrence in that sort of top 1-2 tier?
He's not in the Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts tier or Herbert, but he's clearly either at the bottom of that tier or the beginning of the next or the top of the next tier.
I think it's the first four. To me, Herbert, Lawrence, Jackson, Fields, probably the second tier, but with Jackson borderline in that second tier for me.
Now, as you can see, you asked about Fields. Chicago's thinking about taking a quarterback at one. In fact, I think that's the more likely scenario at this point. So if Justin Fields gets traded, that's good. We want that. But right now, if we're drafting today, and this is before the real NFL draft, we could have a situation where both Fields and Bryce Young, or whoever their quarterback one is, are both on the roster. To me, that's enough to move off him with my first round pick. Now,
I do not expect that to happen. I will be absolutely shocked beyond all recognition if Chicago takes a quarterback with that pick number. I think shocked to a level that you can't even imagine.
I think it's likely to happen. I think that Justin Fields, because he's already, in going to year 3 or 4 or 3 on that contract, that they want to reset the clock given where they are in the rebuild timeline. But that's fine. Those are going to be the next 2 players off the board. After that, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, McCaffrey. So the guy in the end goes running back. Breece Hall, McCaffrey, that's not a bad way to start. Taylor and Bijan Robinson. Let's talk about Bijan Robinson for a second here. Unlanded. But he's going. This is the spot that he's going right now, Geek. I mean, we've seen the unlanded big-time prospect go in the first round of dynasty drafts before, Zeke Elliott, Barkley. Do you think that just from, would you take the risk here on Bijan at this point in the early second round?
Absolutely. Yeah. No question. Wherever he's going, it's a team that's going to feature him. It just doesn't – you're going to have to pay too much draft capital to get him. He's probably an end of the first round running back or somewhere in that second half of the first round even. But wherever he goes, he's going to be featured. I have no worries with him. And you just want youth. Look how well Breece Hall was doing before he got hurt last year. You want this youth at the running back position. And you're in an interesting dilemma now. And by the way,
it's easy for me here. This is an easy pick.
Okay. I'm curious to which way you go with it.
What did we just say at the top of this podcast? What's the most influx position right now where there's no certainty? Right. So which quarterback am I going to take right now that's still available to me that you and I both consider an elite top 6 option?
It's got to be Deshaun Watson.
There you go, my friend. Deshaun Watson. What do we know about elite quarterbacks, Geek? They tend to stay elite, right? Great quarterbacks stay great.
I want to point out what I think was a mistake here in the rankings, and where I think it's a massive mistake across all rankings, and that's AJ Brown. Being ranked where he's at. And it's not that I don't love AJ Brown. I've been saying this all season or most of the second half of the season. I'm not sure AJ Brown is a better fantasy asset than Devontae Smith, who you can get 2 rounds later. And it's just not, I don't think he's the number 1. I think Smith might be the number 1 on that team.
That's a great call
around there.
I love to disagree with you, but I'm not going to make a 12 or 15 pick distinction between Brown and especially with the age, right? Brown's going to be 26.
Something's not clicking for me here. Brown is not better than Smith. They are the same guy, or Smith might be better.
All right. Well, I took Deshaun Watson. Now I've got my quarterback secure. I can, that's just how I play Superflex. Is I want 2 great quarterbacks who will be there. Give me that 3 to 5, maybe longer year projection. Kyler Murray goes off the board after that. You said AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, I think, is in play anywhere from wide receiver 3 up to wide receiver 3. Now I'll have him more like 6 or 7, but if someone took him as the 3rd wide receiver off the board, I would have no problem with that ahead of CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott goes to the same manager who took Justin Herbert. So you're on the clock. You took Jalen Hurts at your first pick at 1.4. How you going to go right here in the second round?
It's funny. This is a really weird spot, right? And I just want to point out what I'm looking at on the board to clarify. At the quarterback position now, there's really no secure player. I would love to say Tua right here, but
are we sure Tua is ever going to play again? What happens if he gets a concussion in week 1?
There it is. So there's a lot of risk now, more risk than I'm comfortable with Tua. I don't really like the rookie quarterbacks enough at this moment in time to feel comfortable using a second round pick on one of them. And that is make it a little weird here. So we got to
Yeah.
go away from running back. The elite wide receivers are still floating around. There still seems to be a bunch of them. I am going with Kenny Walker here. I'm going to take youth at the running back position. I want to keep it young. So
nothing trades better in non-Superflex than 21-year-old star running backs. He's my running back one. I love the pick. So right after that, Amon-Ra St. Brown goes. Austin Eckler, somebody saying screw age. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. Then we have then Barkley goes, and then right after that, Bryce Young goes. So you're back on the clock now. Besides Walker, were you considering Amon-Ra St. Brown, who went right after that pick, or was he not in consideration for you?
He was, but I was actually looking between him and one other wide receiver, and it's funny, none of them were Hill or Diggs.
Yeah, well, those guys are the age 30 guys, age 29 guys, and they're going to be great for fantasy football. It's just that when you're doing Dynasty, you have to make that balance, right? I mean, those are going to be every year. Like last year, it was the age 26, 27 running backs that fell, right? It was the Dalvin Cooks, Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry. But now that the wide receivers are getting older, the running backs are getting pushed up. See, and the same thing with Amon-Ra is what I said about Jalen Waddle. If someone took Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver 3, I would have no problem with that. You know, I'm taking both Amon-Ra and Jalen Waddle above CeeDee Lamb. But if someone says, hey, Lamb is my number 3, no problem with it.
I'm going to throw a name out there right now where I could have taken him ahead of Waddle. So I'm putting in Garrett Wilson, and this is not a Jets homer pick by any stretch of the imagination. I think Wilson showed himself to be a lead wide receiver, a WR1 and alpha. He's super young, and the Jets figure it out at quarterback this year, one way or another. So a little risk because we don't know what the quarterback situation holds for my beloved Jets, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be a veteran, and give me Garoppolo, give me Derek Carr, give me hopefully Aaron Rodgers or something like that. Fine by me.
Fair enough, man. Fair
like
enough.
Ross said to Rachel, fine by me.
All right. There you go. As you see right after your pick there, Cooper Kupp goes, T. Higgins. Interesting situation for T. Higgins coming up if he'll be able to stay in Cincinnati or not. Travis Kelce goes as the tight end one off the board. Hard to argue with that, man. Age 34, third round. I'm still doing it myself as the tight end one. He is he's literally a league winner in redraft. I wouldn't be shocked if someone took him as the number 1 overall pick. Travis Etienne goes right after that. So I'm on the clock after taking 2 quarterbacks. I have a decision to make here. And I'll tell you what, Geek, I'm definitely taking a wide receiver here. And these are my 3 considerations. I'm thinking about Devontae Adams, hoping that Aaron Rodgers possibly ends up there, but he's age 30. This is Dynasty. So I'm really talking about Drake London or Devontae Smith. Now, we talked about Smith a moment ago. The advantage of Smith, only 24 years old. I mean, he is a co-number 1 in that offense. You and I just talked about that. Drake London is the guy, 21 years old, and finished the season, man, really strong. And all they need to do is upgrade the quarterback to something middling. Like, we use Andy Dalton, Taylor Heineke, someone like that. And we're cooking with hot grease there. So I'm going to take Drake London as my pick right there.
Again, you can assume that London will get like an upgrade at quarterback one way or another.
And look at this. Smith comes back to me, but just to let the podcast audience know, Tua goes, Kyle Pitts, who I was also considering, DK, CJ Stroud goes, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, who I think that's a little bit too early for Swift at this point. So, all right. So Devontae Smith comes back to me. I will happily take him there. Do you agree with that over Chris Olave?
Yes, definitely. I think with Devontae, you're getting a very much a known quantity. He is a stud, and it is a known quantity. So I definitely like that ahead of Olave. And so here we got injured Williams, the running back for Denver.
Right. In the 4th round, though, you're fine. Javonte Williams is totally fine there. When he comes back, he's going to be great.
Yeah, and there's Hawkinson off the board, interestingly, ahead of Mark Andrews.
Yeah, well, I mean, look how we finished the season. People aren't certain that Lamar Jackson's going to be back in Baltimore. So I understand that. We know what the situation is. Adam Thielen recently said that he may not be back with the team. That only solidifies Hawkinson as the number 2 target, if he's not already. And then, we don't want to skip over that Devontae Adams went in between those 2 guys. So you're on the clock here. You took Jalen Hurts and then you took your 21-year-old running back in Kenneth Walker, and then Garrett Wilson, who I think that that's going to end up being. I have to readjust, man. I need to push Wilson up a little bit here, especially if they get they will get a solid quarterback.
I didn't get the bargain. So in my perfect world, you get the bargain on it, like an early dynasty draft like this. You want to get like the bargain price on the guy because everybody's wondering, are they going to get a quarter? Of course they're getting a quarterback. They're not going to go into the season without one. They're going to get now. Could it be Andy Dalton? Hope not, but that wouldn't be great. I'm going with the rookie here.
Is there a way for me to make this larger? This let me just, sorry for people looking on the screen here.
Well,
let me see if I can
work with your technical difficulties.
Go ahead. Yeah. Talk me through it
here. I'm keeping it young at wide receiver, guys. I'm keeping it young. I'm going with the rookie.
So you took Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what? He's probably going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be the wide receiver one off the board. There's no question about that.
Give me that guy. So I'm building a youthful team here. Now, one of the things you and I talk about a lot on these dynasty drafts is, are you building for youth? Are you building to win now? And I kind of like a combination, but I want win now players that are young.
Yeah,
if I can get that. The bargains have not been falling here. And I think partially maybe that's because AI is driving some of this. Sometimes you get into like
I told you the AI here is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's doing it right. But I feel like if you get the right group, they'll just drop the Devontae Adams like multiple rounds beyond where they need to go. And those kind of players, they'll drop a lot further than where they're dropping here when it becomes extreme value.
Before you make this pick, though, I like that you took JSN, the rookie wide receiver coming out of Ohio State. I mean, you have to figure he's going to a spot where he's going to be the guy. If not, these rookie wide receivers, they just immediately contribute now if they're given the opportunity, and they're so good. It's unbelievable, man. Then Najee, Nick Chubb, Mark Andrews, Jahmyr Gibbs, the second rookie running back off the board at 5.1. I'm not so sure that he's going to be my rookie running back number 2, but for now, I know that's where the consensus is forming. Christian Watson, man, what a tale of 2 seasons for him, but I like that pick there at 5.2. Deebo Samuel, not so sure I would take him there, but sure, why not? That's where his ADP is. So you got your 2 young receivers. You are building this is a well-built team for you, Geek, with Jalen Hurts as your anchor. There's still plenty. You could see even the AI understood that the quarterback value just totally dipped. So now you have your 2 young receivers, your running back. Where are you going to go with your 5th pick?
So I'm playing a little bit of roulette here at the quarterback position. Kind of hoping that I can take my chance for one more go around for my QB2. I got some names in mind, but it's a little scary. I'm not going to lie. A little scary. Sometimes
who are you thinking about? Like if you were definitely going to take a quarterback, who would it be?
I mean, I like Daniel Jones, and he's way down the list. And I mean, he's just on the. So I use the ranking as a guide and ADP as a guide, right? And normally for me, I have Daniel Jones well above who's on the board. You know what? I think it's too risky. I'm taking him. I'm going to jump ADP here.
We'll see what happens for the sake of this exercise, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get him, I'll rewind it because I'm the one pushing you.
Okay. All right. You know what? So for me, I have Daniel Jones ranked next, and this is where I would grab him. I'd be very comfortable going into the season with Hurts and Jones as my quarterback tandem, right? But because of ADP, and this is an important way that people should be drafting, like check the ADP, check rankings. If
There's no reverse button here, so just
all right. So we'll see. We might get screwed here. So if we go away from that, I'm going to go with Treylon Burks. No, Michael Pittman. Another wide receiver. Build him young. The Colts are another team that.
Wait, you're not going to take Daniel Jones? Why don't you play this how you would take it? Because people do. They know you're a great dynasty player.
So at that point, I would take Daniel Jones here. So let me grab. Yeah, there we go.
So you took Pittman.
I had it.
Let's see what happens here. So
I had an error on screen. So let's.
That's fine. That's fine. This works out. This is better for the exercise. So you took Pittman, Ramondre Stevenson, who I'm a little scared off, but you have to like fifth round in a SuperFlex form. Trey Lance, who's now come back into favor, he goes at 5.6. Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook.
I don't get the Dalvin Cook thing here. There's some question marks here, but you do start to notice here this round the talent's starting to drop off. It's getting a little sketchy.
Yeah,
still good players, but a little sketchy here, right? Like Ramondre. What do you think about Ramondre?
Yeah, no, I'm not drafting Ramondre at his ADP. There's too many things that he has to dodge here. And he didn't have like a great end of season. He fumbled in a high profile game. Now, again, I'm not saying just because he fumbled, but now with Damian Harris likely to leave, they're going to have Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris into the
Strong
mix.
Look good in a couple games at the end of the year.
Yep. At the Shrine Bowl, the Patriots coaches were looking at pass catching running backs. They've never really had a workhorse running back. So there's too much that can go wrong with that for me to feel comfortable taking Ramondre Stevenson look, Derrick Henry, I know he's going to be 29 years old, but it's so easy to see him being productive for 2 more years. I mean, he is the outlier. And in the 5th round where I need a running back, I mean, he's going to go in the first round, top 5, top 8 pick in most redraft leagues. So I just can't pass on him here,
I want to point out Dalvin Cook. I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to be with the Vikings.
You know what it is? And that there's a lot of talk like that. So I'm not going to slam you for saying that, but why wouldn't he? They save about $6 million from cutting him, but why would you cut him? He's like a key part of your team. And if you cut him, what are you replacing him with? You know what I'm saying? Like, you need a good running back on your team.
What if they draft Bijan?
And I mean, he's going in the first round. You'd have to take him in the first round. They're not doing that.
At the end, that's where they're going to be. They're at the end of the first round. That guy will be available to the Vikings. And I think Dalvin Cook slowed down. I mean, he just was not dynamic this year.
I think I agree with that. But they draft. They could backfill it with a lot of the veterans that are out there. There's some guys on the roster. Sure. It won't. Nothing surprises me anymore. I just don't think it makes sense. And put it this way: even if they cut Dalvin Cook and he's off the team, he's going to show up somewhere, right? What if he's the Arizona Cardinals lead running back and James Conner doesn't come?
He could do the Melvin Gordon or like the
James Conner,
veteran, the Leonard Fournette, thing.
Yes. So he'll show up somewhere, and he's not dead yet. Tony Pollard goes. Cowboys already said they're franchise tagging Pollard, but Zeke's going to be back there. They're going to restructure him. So fine. Pollard 5'10", Jamison Williams, Treylon Burks, George Kittle, Godwin.
Pickens is controversial.
Yeah, I'm not taking him there, but I understand why somebody would. So I'm back on the clock now. I have the 2 young receivers in London and Smith, my 2 quarterbacks, and Derrick Henry. So Geek, I think I'm going to take Daniel Jones here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just.
By the way, you should, but seriously, I would. But I get your point.
Yep.
If you don't take him, I think he's going to be there for me.
Yeah. I'm not taking him because I'm not. I'm drafting how I would draft.
These rankings are. To me, having Kenny Pickett ahead of Daniel Jones is just not correct.
I mean, as of right now, that could change, but Kenny Pickett is going to be the quarterback for the next couple of years. Daniel Jones, we don't know what the situation is. You're guessing. Now, I agree with you. I would take Daniel Jones, but that's an actual it's an actual decision that people are going to make. It's clear cut to you and I. So this is who I'm considering here at this pick. Since it's start 3 receivers.
Let's take a look at your team. So
I just went over it. I said I got the 2 young receivers, 2 quarterbacks, and a running back.
Yeah, 1 running back, youth at wide receiver, veteran win now quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I'm either thinking about Dallas Goedert here just to get that tight end locked in. But you and I always talk about, man, it's like, who the hell wants to take a tight end? You're always leaking value. So I'm going to be pretty high on Jerry Jeudy this year. He finished weeks 14 through 18 as the wide receiver 1, not a wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 1. And that was buoyed by a 3 touchdown game. But still, man, Cortland Sutton, other than that 1 year, he was kind of like, has been kind of crap. Tim Patrick will be back, but I like Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to take him there. And he's my 3rd wide receiver. Dobbins goes immediately after. I was considering him. DJ
Will
Moore.
Levis at quarterback, who might go 1st overall, goes before. So, I mean, this is an easy pick. I'm just going to make it. But I want to kind of point out, looking at the board right now, what things look like. So it came back around to me. There we go. After my Jones pick, Goddard, another rookie wide receiver.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston.
Well, we'll learn about these rookies.
Quentin, here you go. So you got Kenny Pickett went right after Goddard, but Quentin Johnston, who's expected to be the 2nd or 3rd wide receiver off the board out of TCU. He's a big-bodied guy, man. He's your prototypical wide receiver. He's going to be a polarizing guy, but he has been right now He is the consensus wide receiver 3. I know if you're listening to this and you do your own rookie analysis, he's not my wide receiver 3. He's the consensus wide receiver 3 right now, and stuff will change after the combine. So I understand it. Brandon Ayuk, Alvin Kamara, Hollywood Brown, who I like there. So you're back on the board. You got 3 receivers. You have a running back. You have your 2 QBs.
I'm just going to give you a little bit of my mindset right now for this pick, and I'm looking through what's available and what's going to be available the next couple rounds. Number one, wide receiver seems actually really deep. I'm seeing 6, 7, 8 names that I really like here. Even Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, sure, why not? Jahan Dotson, Amari Cooper, lots of names still floating around that I think I like. Tight end, still pretty deep as well. Plenty of names, even down the board. I know Njoku's my backup, and Evan Ingram. Those guys are kind of hanging around. I can wait on them. So I'm going to go running back here. I'll keep it youthful at the running back position. I like to build around wide receivers. That's how I build my dynasty teams, quarterback, wide receiver. Kind of let the running back normally just fall into place. But if I can get some youth, and I'm deciding between Rachaad White and Cam Akers right now, I'm going to go with White. But I don't know that that's the right call. I have a hard time. So I'm going to throw this over to you on the remaining running backs that were available just there. Did I do the right thing with White? I mean, is Cam Akers a better pick there?
I prefer Akers, but the consensus is White. A lot of smart rankers, our friends at RotoWire, at our friends at Player Profile, Roster Watch, they all like Rachaad White there. I don't see it because the quarterback situation's a little in flux, and Leonard Fournette's going to be there. And if he's not, they're not.
I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay, but even that, they're
I do not think Leonard Fournette will be there. But I think what you said is correct. I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like, but I doubt it's going to be very good. Although maybe they get Garoppolo and they don't, and they're fine. Like that could happen too.
Yeah, that could happen as well. But they're going to hit the free agent market, right? They're not just going to have Rachaad White be that lead running back. I can't. If they are, I'd be surprised.
Danger.
Akers, we saw how he finished the season as a workhorse running back that was able to score touchdowns in a suboptimal situation. Bring back a healthy Matt Stafford, bring back a healthy Cooper Kupp, and Cam Akers, he's the prospect that we thought he was. He's now a couple of years removed from the ACL, but listen, the consensus agrees with you. I've been getting Cam.
I have regrets even seconds after clicking the button. That's why I asked the question. I'm like, it doesn't feel good to click it, but I know I wanted a young running back. But
they're both young.
What's that?
They're both young.
Yeah, no, I know. I just have a little regrets now.
Okay. All right. So Terry McLaurin, 7th round. Hard to argue with that. Cousins and Anthony Richardson. Man, Anthony Richardson, the rookie QB out of Florida, has got that mega nuclear upside. Jordan Addison, who is becoming the consensus wide receiver 2 in this draft out of UFC. I thought maybe the Giants would get him. It's seeming more and more that you're going to have to move up in the real NFL draft to get Addison. We had John Laub on the RotoWire podcast last week, and he just said Addison's incredible. He said, think Devontae Smith. He said, think just a guy who can get open later into the route. And if you have a quarterback like Daniel Jones who can scramble and find time, he said, this guy's just going to light up the league right off the bat. So I love that call.
You've been doing the dynasty pods. You've been talking to some of the sharpest scouts, guys at the Senior Bowl. You've been early in about, listen, I'm still looking at this, I'm still looking at other things. I haven't really focused my head in on the rookie class yet. How good is this upcoming rookie dynasty draft going to be from a comparative standpoint? Obviously last year actually worked out really much better than people thought, but in general, going into it now, how excited are you about this rookie class, and how deep is it? Are my second round picks going to be starters this year?
Yeah, there is a great question. And this is the year to have second round picks. And why is because there's a big 8 in my judgment in SuperFlex. So picks 1 through 8, you're going to be happy with that pick, a day 1 starter, or just something that you really is insulated value. Then here's why the second round picks, Geek, are going to be valuable, because starting at pick 9, going all the way through about pick 16, they're indistinguishable right now, right? From a value perspective. So if you have those late ones or a couple of those, and you can go from pick 9 and get back into the second round, get pick 12 and 16, you're going to get basically 2 guys out of the same tier for the price of 1. So those early seconds are going to be very valuable. Late seconds too. It's a very deep class. Doesn't have the super elite talent other than the ones that you already know about. But in the peak does drop off. But there's it's a great year to have a pick 7, pick 9, pick 6. There is a big 8 though. I'll give you that.
It's a good time to be. It's a good year if you had planned a rebuild around 2023 for existing leagues. It sounds like, but again, last year everybody panned the draft and said this is not a talented draft, and man, the hit rate was really good in the top 8 or 9 picks.
Oh yeah, no wide receivers busted.
Yeah.
All right, so here I'm looking at I'm looking at tight end just to keep an eye on it, and I'm not ready to go there yet. Wide receiver, it still looks pretty deep. So that means running back. Now, Cam Akers is the obvious pick here, but recently on the RotoWire Dynasty podcast, Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA he's 6'1", 220 pounds. He really is like a bruising back with speed. So it's going to be hard and he's going to be landing spot dependent. But if I'm being responsible, I think I'm still taking Cam Akers here, but Zach Charbonnet is somebody that I really want to keep an eye on here. I'm hoping he comes back to me. Yes, he's back there. So I'm going to get him as well. After me, Freiermuth, Russell Wilson, look at this guy at pick team 11, gets Russell Wilson and Goff after waiting on quarterback. I mean, there's something to be said for that. Wilson gets a little bit of a bump now with Sean Payton in town. Unbelievable value right there, Geek.
I think Wilson is less bad this year than he was this past season.
Hardly a ringing endorsement.
That's as good as I can go.
Yeah. All right, you're up. You have
now that Sean Payton has taken his personal coaching staff and trainer and meditation guru out of the locker room, I think things will get better over there.
All right, before you make your pick, I have to do a commercial read for Underdog Fantasy, but I don't think we would be doing Underdog Fantasy best ball drafts any service. They're great sponsors of this podcast. If I just read the commercial, so no better commercial than word of mouth. Geek, in 25 seconds or less, not a commercial, just describe how great the experience is for best ball and why people should play Underdog in early 2023 drafts.
Just super easy format to draft in. What I love about Underdog is that they take things seriously, right? They're not playing games. So right now, if you go on Underdog or within a short period of time, there are contests that will be entire best ball season-long leagues that will end before the actual NFL draft. So in these next couple of months, you can enter best ball. There's no reason why mock draft when you could pay $3 and actually be in a tournament for that draft that you just did. That's what I always say. Enjoy it. Make real teams. If I'm going to spend 45 minutes, unless we're doing this, discussing it on a podcast, which I'm happy to do, if I'm going to spend my 35, 40 minutes drafting a team, I'm putting $3 on over on Underdog or $5 on it. Love Underdog.
Yeah. So basically it's the best place to play best ball, which are these drafts where you can play it for $3, $5. You can go into their big board game, which is $25. It's got, millions of dollars worth of prizes, and just use code RWNFL. That's RotoWire NFL, RWNFL, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. So you put in 100, they'll give you 100. And also the link will be in the video description and the podcast description below. All right. Underdog. You and I were one of their first 1,000 customers. We've been playing since their inception. We'll be doing some live Underdog drafts on this live feed as well when we take a break from some of the Dynasty stuff during the week. All right, Geek,
you ready?
We're doing a live Dynasty mock draft. We are in round 8. I think we're going to go. We'll keep going here a little bit here. We're doing good. You have taken Jalen Hurts, Ken Walker. Love this combo of Garrett Wilson, JSN out of Ohio State, Michael Pittman. Whew, wow, what a value. Daniel Jones is your QB2 at 6.9. In the 7th round, a controversial pick with Rachaad White, but I think you'll end up ultimately being happy there. What direction are you going to go in here?
I'll still need at some point a little more running back power. You have a classically built Seslowsky team with 3 strong running backs. That is very classic you. And I have a classic Geek team with sketchy running back depth, which is how I like to do it. I'm going, and I'm getting a little crazy. Don't call me loco. Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
Tight end, round 1, tight end. Historic, Pitts level, epic.
Michael Mayer is the best tight end prospect in this draft. There's no question about it. Out of Notre Dame, I would say he's more Pat Fryermuth than he is Kyle Pitts, but he's going to be a do-it-all guy. I think that he could be Dallas Goedert. He's not going to be TJ Hawkinson. He's a little bit more well-built than that, but he's going in the first round. And I'm shocked because you always are anti first-round tight end.
These guys were going in like round 2, of rookie starter. We're now in round 9 where I'm choosing exactly between Darren Waller and a young Mayer. I'll take the young guy because there are still 3 or 4 tight ends that I'm very comfortable going into the season with that I'll pick up later. So this is where I got a little crazy, take a risk. But
I don't think it's a bad pick.
On the board, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, I should have told the people listening on the audio version that we're going to put a link in the podcast description of the draft board so you could see it. And we'll also put a link for the video inside there. So if you want to watch this instead of listening to it or follow along, you could do that as well. All right. I'm not against the Michael Mayer pick at all. So I don't know if you thought I was going to crush you for that one, but absolutely not. You're back on the
me out for my usual disdain for rookie tight ends, which I've had for many, many years. But, I just think it's late enough that it's a fine pick. Like here, well, look who went right after, right? Mike Williams. Okay, I like him.
Well, Zach Evans, the rookie running back. Zach Evans goes, Mike Williams, James Cook, Deontay Johnson, Dalton Schultz, and Kayshon Boutte out of LSU. Another possible first-round rookie wide receiver.
I don't think James Cook ever becomes somebody who you're comfortable as your RB1 or even like your full-time starting RB2 on your team.
Yeah, no. If I was going running back there, I certainly would be considering like A.J. Dillon, Isaiah Pacheco, even Brian Robinson, Montgomery. Even though he is a unrestricted free agent, I still like he'll end up somewhere, So, but yeah, the running back starts to dry up pretty good after that. So,
I'm on the clock again. Oh, here we go.
And by the way, this is why maybe you could have passed on tight end, although I do like the pick. I'm not panning the pick because a couple of the guys we like, Njoku, Ingram, Dulcich, Darren Waller, who could be a good value, they're all still there. And who would you have taken? But it doesn't matter. It looks like you weren't going to take any of the guys that went anyway.
No, I think those guys will still be there in another round. So, yeah. And then you could even go down the list a little bit, and there's some names floating around, like Chiga Okonkwo, for example. Yeah. And maybe even Cade Otton that's floating around now. So there's, I'm always comfortable without having an elite tight end. I don't care.
All right. Next few rounds, we're going to go lightning round. We'll just talk about
let's hammer it out quick. So my team currently probably lacks a little bit of a running back depth. So I think I'm going to go here with Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's done enough. And, Jerick McKinnon is old. So, he's 31. McKinnon and Pacheco might get an increased role on his team. I like Dylan. The computer just took Dylan, who is also a consideration.
Yeah, but I think it's more important to, I like your Pacheco pick. I think he comes into the next year as the starter. There's no question there. But the next 3 picks, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Josh Downs, the rookie wide receiver out of North Carolina. So we all know Keenan Allen and Mike Evans are going to be the best values in wide receiver. So if you do want to hit the other positions, you could still come back with those guys in like round, 7 and 8 and still get them both.
There's some rumor that Allen will be cut.
He'll be somewhere. He'll be on the New England Patriots then with Mac Jones. It'll be fine. It's Keenan Allen's not going to be jobless, and he's going to be a priority. He's going to be a good player in 2023. All right, Josh Downs. This was a player out of North Carolina that all of the rookie experts that we've had on the RotoWire podcast are just, their mind is blown with Josh Downs, that he not only produced highly with Sam Howell 2 years ago, that they brought in a rookie quarterback to North Carolina, and he still had high-end production. And he looks like basically could sneak into the first round of the real NFL draft. He might be one of those early, more like a top 50 pick. But Josh Downs is a name to monitor. If you're picking 10, 11, 12 in your rookie draft, and we all know there's always a guy that gets picked, a wide receiver at 10, 11, 12 in your rookie draft that ends up being like, oh my God, I wish I would have gotten this guy at 5. So Downs is that guy to keep an eye on this year, Geek. Okay.
I love it. I love the insights on these rookie players that you're coming up with. I wish I could have come in here and been like, I'm grabbing all these rookies because I've studied them.
But this is the, we're still in February. The Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet. or sorry, at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening to this after the Super Bowl, we had to record this before just to get this mock draft out because I'll be on vacation. So you're hearing this now. It is recorded before, so we don't want to deceive the audience there.
Vacation?
Yes, I'm going to Mexico.
Oh, nice.
By the time you hear this on the podcast, I'll have already been back.
Oh.
So
nice.
All right. We were talking about, but this is your first pass at it. And this is how we do it every year. This is how you get familiar. What better way to learn about rookies than doing a mock draft with somebody who's been working with them for a few weeks? And I was in your spot 3 weeks ago when I was talking to some of the other experts that have been in this since like the summer. So that's how these things work. And then, in another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when the combine happens, you'll be well ahead of this. When you're hearing all these names, you'll already be ahead of it. All right, we're going to move along.
Let's say a listener is watching this, right? And they're watching, they're listening, and they're like, this seems really cool, but I never find dynasty leagues, in early, to get into, right? I've never drafted one in, pre NFL draft or anything like that. Where could they go if you're just a regular person, right? And you're like, hey, I'd like to get into a league. I don't want to put $1 million on it, but I like Dynasty. I want to draft some teams.
How do you actually get into a money league?
Get into one without like being friends with a Mohawk from Sleeper that invites
DM the Geek, DM me. We'll get you in a league. It's no problem.
Don't DM me. No one.
DM me at Alan Seslowsky on Twitter. I'll get you into a league. We'll get you into Dynasty startups are popping off all the time.
Don't DM me.
All right. I'm going wide receiver here. Rashad Bateman seems like the obvious play here. Just got injured last year, was off to a pretty good start. So I'll just take Bateman there. You can never have enough wide receivers.
Little stack action with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Gabe Davis goes off the board.
There's Tyler Algier. Okay.
Yeah, I don't trust it.
Oh, there go the tight ends, Kmet and Njoku.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to take Evan Ingram.
The front lines are falling.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right, you're up.
Sam Mayer. Michael Mayer. He better do it.
Yep, the mayor.
Isn't it interesting that Darren Waller's still there? What happened?
Yeah,
there?
I mean, he could be, who knows? I mean, he's sucked for 2 years already, right?
Yeah.
All right, you're up. So Zeke and David Montgomery, Sean Tucker, the rookie running back out of Syracuse. And let's see. And you're up now. So
yeah, I'm taking a look here real quick. And I do need another wide receiver. The veteran talent on the board is unsexy. So I'm just going to go with the next ranked rookie here in Zay Flowers.
Oh, that's a good pick right there. So Zay Flowers, I'll give you a little Zay Flowers information. So Zay Flowers, everyone critiqued him for not going to the Senior Bowl because that's, quote, the better competition. He went to the Shrine Bowl. But upon digging a little deeper, Geek, what our friend John Loud pointed out to me is that he was invited to the Shrine Bowl, accepted the invite, and then the Senior Bowl did call him and said, hey, what are you doing over there? Come on over. He goes, no, I already committed. I'm staying here. And then obviously at Boston College, man, which is a low, it's not a top program. He just crushed with production. I mean, he did everything right. Zay Flowers is going to be that Christian Watson, that what we thought Sky Moore was going to be in the second round, maybe even with T. Higgins. He doesn't have that same profile as T. Higgins, but he is going to be one of the guys that gets drafted in round 2. There's round 1 buzz on him that you end up taking in round 1 of your rookie draft. Zay Flowers, if you won your championship last year and you have pick 12, you're going to be very happy to get Zay Flowers in your rookie draft. All of the pundits love him. He did everything along the way. And, the only thing he didn't have was that big powerhouse school. So great pick with Zay Flowers.
Yeah. So this is the time to acquire some backup quarterback action. And, I've got 2. You need a third guy. And man, is this a tough choice. Brock Purdy is hanging around, right? And it's so dangerous. Matthew Stafford, back issues, horrible this past season. Aaron Rodgers, end of the rope. Derek Carr doesn't have a job, but will get one. And Jordan Love is hanging out.
Yeah, that's my
dangerous
guy
too.
Aaron Rodgers is there.
Yeah. I don't know how to choose. This is a really tough choice here, but I know I need a third quarterback on the board. Man, I want to go with that upside of Purdy so bad, but he might just not play at all. I think you got to go safe with the QB3, but man, this one feels gross. I wish I could do it a little different, but I'm going to take Matt Stafford.
Yeah, that's a good pick. You're buying low. I mean, Matt Stafford was what, QB9 last year, and now he's QB20, whatever. It's a great pick, Geek.
Might have still been there in a few more rounds. Not really sure, but if you had that choice, like Brock Purdy, how do you feel about Brock Purdy here? Like, is it worth the shot in round 11 that he gets the job?
Well, put it this way. I have the same. I need a third quarter. Actually, before you know what? Here's the cliffhanger. We're going to take a break right here. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you who my QB3 is that I'm taking. Is it Brock Purdy or is it Aaron Rodgers? And obviously,
it's Jordan Love.
Or is it Jordan Love? I'm going to let you know right after this word. All right, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. Right now, I'm going to pick my QB3 in our Rookie Dynasty mock draft. Again, you can see the board if you click on the the link in the video description below or the podcast description below. I'm not so sure Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay. I think it's likely he leaves, but I do know that Aaron Rodgers is going to play football. Actually, I don't even know that, but I'm taking him either. I'm taking him either way. Aaron Rodgers is the smart pick there, I believe, is my third quarterback. Come on.
Wouldn't it be funny if he retires between now and when this podcast actually goes live on the air?
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But now I'm left with the same thing. Do I take Brock Purdy or Jordan Love again? Or do I continue to build on some of my other depth? I mean, Michael Thomas sitting there, right? I mean, that's disgusting. Rashee Rice, the rookie wide receiver, I'm looking at him, 6'2", 203 pounds. He's going to probably go a lot sooner than this if he tests really well at the combine. And then, of course, you can never have too many running backs. Antonio Gibson just sitting there for the taking, man.
Gross.
Yeah. Alexander Madison's going to be a free agent. And then Jamal Williams. I know he's 27 years old, but he led the league in touchdowns, man. It's like, why is that going to change next year? Why would that be any different? All right, let's build on that running back depth. I think this is the point where you take a shot on the younger guy. So hard, right? I'll take Brock Purdy. What the hell? I have 4 quarterbacks.
You know, that's a home run if Purdy, if Purdy gets the job. And right here, since you left him for me, and you might say, Kev, why are you doing this? You have enough quarterbacks.
No, you can never have enough quarterbacks.
You can't have enough quarterbacks. You can't have enough quarterback talent on your team. And
what's it called, Kev? The one thing we always say is that quarterbacks are never cheaper than they are in the startup draft. The minute this is the opposite of a brand new car. The minute you buy a car at the dealership and you leave the lot, it like decreases in value by 5, 10, 15%. The minute you leave the startup draft, your price of your quarterbacks, if they have a starting job, goes up 15, 20%.
I like it. Now, this is a mock draft, so it's a little bit cheaty, but I'm gonna do it again here because we talked about at the beginning of this draft the lack of depth at quarterback. In a legitimate league, these quarterbacks are always tradable, always. Now, you might not get what you perceive to be full value for one of these guys, but they're always tradable, and I'm doubling down. So my last 2 picks were Jimmy Garoppolo and Jordan Love. Now, why can I do this late in a draft? Well, I've already filled out all my starting positions anyway. So now we're picking depth players, right? Am I going to take Jamal Williams, who's a nice depth running back, but you could generally get him in season for a 2nd-round pick? No problem. Or am I going to take a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, who when he's the starter, even if he's not doing well, and he will be a starter next year, I'm getting a first and something for him in a trade. Same thing with Jordan Love. I assume that Aaron Rodgers will leave that team this year, and Jordan Love is going to be a starting quarterback on a team that immediately makes him worth a future 1st-round pick or a quality player, position player. This is the Seslowsky philosophy. I've adopted it. The quarterback is worth the least in the startup draft. If you get a bunch of quarterbacks early, people in your league, if this happened in a legitimately, people in the league will be hounding you on trades for those quarterbacks, and the minimum price is a 1st-round pick. So give me that, because every player that just went, Trey McBride, Devin Singletary, Alec Pierce, maybe and Rondale Moore, they will not fetch a 1st-round pick ever.
Never. Yep. Great call right there. Very, very sharp and sound dynasty advice. Let's each make, I'm going to make let's each make 2 more picks. That'll put us in round 15. I think that's enough. I'm really worried about my wide receiver depth. I like in this range right here, we're in the 13th, 14th round. The Chicago Bears gave up a lot of draft capital to draft Chase Claypool. They need to develop that quarterback. So just based on them needing to get that done, I'm going to take Claypool there. And then look, all those wide receivers just rip off the board.
Let's see. So after Claypool, Jacoby Myers goes, who I like. Romeo Doubs, questionable player. Brandon Cooks, okay, fine. Damian Harris from New England. Don't know what his future holds. Jamal Williams. So it's getting ugly in the draft here. I like your pick of DJ Shark there, though.
Yeah, took DJ Shark. He's a free agent at time of broadcast here, but he proved that he's closer to that 1,000-yard receiver, 7 touchdown type of player than he is when he got injured that year and then just had a slow start. So, okay, so I took Shark. You took Alexander Madison. He's a free agent. He could end up somewhere. I like that. And now the other players that went, John Mechie, we kind of forgot about him, being that he had, he was
Denzel Mims. I mean, the players going now are just turds for all intents and purposes, right? Denzel Mims and Mechie, who has never shown anything.
So that's Marvin Mims. I'd say it just says Mims on there. So Marvin Mims is the rookie wide receiver. Yeah, rookie wide receiver out of Oklahoma. I haven't done much or any work on him yet, so I don't know. But I'll trust ADP there. That's okay. But yeah, by the way, Mims is one of the guys I do like this year. I think that he's a sneaky pick up for just end of the roster, but not anything before the 20th round. So you're on the clock here. You're going to make your last pick, Geek, in the 15th round. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, and now legitimately, if this was real, I probably would take Derek Carr here and actually just dominate the quarterback position.
Take him.
Yeah, then I'm doing it. I don't think this is how it would go, but screw it. Right now, I own quarterbacks. Now I'm the Don. I'm making an offer I can't refuse. I'm the Don of quarterbacks in this league.
I love that, man. I don't
hold the position. I got a monopoly.
Yeah, no, I think that's a sound pick right there. I just moved us off the screen so people could see. I might, this is the last round, so I might as well just make my pick. Right here, I'm looking possibly. Let's see. There's tons of. You know what? Oh, I was just looking at what I need. What happens in these leagues when tight end just dries up. You don't have anything. So I'm just going to take like a floor guy here. I could either take Gerald Everett, Zach Ertz, who's a little bit older, but I think Dan Bellinger, man, when he plays, he was just solid. You have like a 40-50% getting.
Has Tyler Higbee fallen to the point where you don't even consider him a viable guy?
I could. And I was also eyeballing Zamir White and Rashad Penny here as well. But yeah, I think Higbee's probably the smarter pick. But he's also, 30 years old? Yeah, he's 30. Whereas Dan Bellinger's just getting his career started. So I'll take Bellinger there. All right, man. Geek, that's it.
I'm going to analyze one more player for you here that's available on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And who I'm going to take, or for you here. But I like KJ Osborne here, still floating around. So one value that's still there. I don't think that Adam Thielen will be back.
That's a good call
with the Vikings.
Osborne's been good. He's had like blow up games too. And when we start doing our underdog best ball, like he's a player that we're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive on to get him there. So for all the reasons I said I like Hawkinson, it's probably KJ Osborne becomes that locked in third guy. Geek, you did it again. People love you on the Dynasty podcast. I love you on the Dynasty podcast. But thanks for doing this mock draft with us. Just remember, you can follow Kevin, the Fantasy Football Geek, at FFootballGeek, at DFSARMY, and follow the Sharp app, he is the founder, owner, operator of, I think, is the best gambling app on the internet. You make it so easy over there. Follow the Sharp app.
And you can follow advice and tools. We don't take bets, but we got all kinds of tools to help you make sharper betting decisions.
Yep. So I'm at Alan Seslowsky, and every week we're back on the RotoWire Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast. We're also, if you love Dynasty content and have SiriusXM, we have a new show called the Dynasty Hour. Go to just go on the SXM app, search the Dynasty Hour, and there's an episode featuring you, episode 4 featuring you.
That Dynasty Hour alone on SiriusXM is worth the price of the subscription. Just that. If you just had that, it was like, oh,
yep.
I mean, $8-9 a month, worth it.
And as always, the RotoWire Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Underdog. Play Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code RWNFL. Get a free match up to $100. We'll be back next week with another Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast.